Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, before I go to the body of the motion, please permit me to amend slightly paragraph 1, line 1, from 1.7 million barrels to 2 million barrels. The motion. The Senate notes that although Nigeria produces 2 million barrels of crude per day, its moribund refineries have very little refining capacity and imports roughly 90% of its fuel, negating much of the benefits oil-producing nations accrue from high crude prices. The Senate further notes that according to Petroleum Products Pricing and Regulatory Agency, PPPRA, and the NNPC, between 2006, when the Petroleum Support Fund, PSF, was set up, and 2018, at least 10 trillion naira had been spent on petrol import subsidy, while the Senate in May 2019 criticized the payment of 11 trillion naira to oil marketers as subsidy in the last 6 years, as she had also approved the payment of additional 129 billion naira subsidy claims to 67 petroleum marketers. The Senate is aware that even though the President removed subsidy in May 2016, amid falling crude oil price and an economic recession, more than $160 million was spent on subsidy in early 2017 as the national oil company absorbed costs due to an increase in crude oil price. The Senate is also aware that although Nigeria introduced petroleum subsidies in the 80s as a temporary measure aimed at improving product affordability and domestic consumption, it has, however, become a permanent feature of our economic life and has not only continued unabated, but has skyrocketed over the years as successive administrations have failed to make Nigeria self-sufficient in domestic production of refined petroleum products. Further aware that research by the Council on Foreign Relations Program on Energy Security and Climate Change has shown that in countries where subsidies account for a substantial portion of government budgets or national GDP, they can be physically debilitating and economically damaging. For instance, when subsidies constrain government budgets, they can displace necessary public investment in critical infrastructures, and the confluence of fuel subsidies and state ownership in the energy sector often results in corruption, smuggling, and the emergence of black markets. The Senate notes that the NNPC has 4 major refineries with a combined installed capacity of 445,000 barrels per day, and despite the huge resources expended on turnaround maintenance, none of the 4 refineries currently works up to 50% of their installed capacity, according to figures from the NNPC. The Senate further notes that despite promises and plans by government to bridge shortages in downstream infrastructure and specifically fix Nigeria's moribund refineries and make them work to optimal capacity by 2019, the former oil minister admitted, while speaking last year in Lagos at the 18th edition of the International Biennial Health, Safety and Environmental Conference on the Oil and Gas Industry in Nigeria, that those plans will not materialize until 2020, when Dangote petrochemical refineries 650,000 barrels per day, Nigeria's 4 refineries of 445,000 barrels per day capacity, and 3 modular refineries come on stream. The Senate also notes that in an exclusive interview with the Guardian newspaper in May 2019, the senior technical advisor to the ex-while Minister of Petroleum on refineries and downstream infrastructure disclosed that about 43 refineries, including large-scale and modular refineries, have been granted licenses to refine petroleum products across the country, that 2 of those modular refineries will be inaugurated soon in the Niger Delta region. Cognizant of the fact that the overriding objective of modular refineries is to overcome the huge capital requirements that impede the establishment and maintenance of large-scale refineries, thereby ensuring self-sufficiency in the production and supply of petrochemical products. The Senate is worried that according to Business Day newspaper reports, based on data obtained from the Department of Petroleum Resources website, a total of potential 633,000 barrels per day refining capacity has already been lost due to the expiration of licenses of both conventional and modular refinery projects. The Senate is disturbed that despite the dire need to exit petroleum importation, subsidy, and boost local refining capacity to reduce the current 91% exposure to petroleum importation, there is neither a comprehensive plan or roadmap to that end. And for mobilizing technical and financial aid for refinery license holders to ensure refineries under construction become operational, nor proactive information system on the status of existing refineries and licenses, as well as details of subsidy payments. An open data principle would undoubtedly enhance transparency and accountability and ultimately build trust between citizens and government. The Senate accordingly resolves to mandate an ad hoc committee to invite the Minister or Minister of State for Petroleum and the Group Managing Director of the Nigerian Petrochemical Company, Petroleum Corporation, to brief the committee on the status of existing refineries, including private and modular refineries and licenses, provide a robust plan and roadmap for exiting importation of refined petroleum products and payment of subsidy, and apprise the committee on a plan for domestic refining with specific timeframes. And two, report back to the Senate in 8 weeks.